I actually had to do unthinkable things to a hotel manager. He thought we were doing it as a favor, but one of our event promoters, Tyler Maggart.
Welcome to episode 61 of the Drag Drive Repeat Show presented by Summit Racing. Y'all, again, huge show playing tonight. We got Zach Slevin on. He is recapping the Cruise and Lose escapades. Y'all, they went through some almost tornadoes, to be honest with you. Pretty crazy experience there. I can't wait to hear that. Cliff, Tulsa Madman Parvin, is on to talk about announcing and talk about the circuit event because he was our announcer there. So I'm excited to hear his side of it from the tower and all the cool stories he has. And I want to give a big shout out right here early in the show. I'm wearing the Central Victorian Dragon Drive apparel that Dave Curtis and Nadine sent to us. I want to say thanks to them for sending that all the way from Australia to here. Eric, will you hit that intro button and let's get this thing started, dude?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're going to pack things up and hit the road and try to make it the next day.
Y'all, my name's Mike Narx. I am the host of the Drag Drive Repeat Show and News. This episode you're watching now is the show. And for the folks that are listening on the podcast, thank you very much. We've seen a huge bump in the podcast listenership. Thank you so much. You can find us on your favorite podcast app under Drag Drive Repeat. Again, my name is Mike Narx. I just hosted the Circuit Drag and Drive event. We are already working on 2025. I promise it's going to be even crazier. And my co-host, my RHM, Mr. Right Hand Man, Mr. Eric White. Introduce yourself. Tell them what you got going on, dude.
I am Eric White. I am the co-host for both the show and the news. Photographer, took 2,600 photos at the circuit, still working through those. So I see Johnny Allen in here. Shout out to all the photographers that busted through those photos, because after a full days of work, I'm struggling to get through all these photos, but they're so good. They're so good. I can't wait to release them. So photographer, I do graphic design work for Drag Drive Repeat. I did it for the circuit, other drag and drive events. Back to being a rising creator on Facebook again. That comes and goes. And then when I'm not doing all of that, I'm growing my channel, which is 815 LSX Swaps, which we're just about to cross 3,600 subscribers.
Dude, that's awesome. Congratulations to you. It's been a busy several months. We've been hitting it pretty hard. I would like to say we're going to take a break, but we are not, because the season is about to get started. That's for sure. And guys, we can't do all of this without you guys, right? You are what makes this world go round. Our race car friends, the folks that are out there making comments. I see all the folks here in the chat already. Danny Fatka, Johnny Allen, Aaron Roberts, and Fast Ranger Motorsports already making comments for this episode. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate that. And guys, we can't do it without our sponsors. They make the travel possible. They make everything that we do possible here. Summit Racing, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Car Chains 3D, Howard's Cams, Performa Built Transmissions, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk Classifieds all make this all possible right here. And guys, our newest media partner, PowerTube TV, have you been watching that? Dude, we've been on their podcast channel a lot lately. Every time I turn that on, we are within the next couple hours. So thank you so much for the support to PowerTube TV. I want to give a big shout out to them. And if you haven't downloaded that app, please do that right after you get done watching this. Well, like I said, we have a fun show tonight. I see Zach is backstage. Jonathan Stonecipher is backstage. We were talking before the show kind of about the circuit and what we can do for 2025. And y'all, I'm telling you, it's going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to grow. It's going to be great. Well, let's move. Let's move to the next spot here because we got to talk about Summit Racing. Summit Racing Speed Legacy began in 1968 as a one-man startup and is now the world's speed shop. 4 facilities, 200 plus catalog editions, fueling your passion. They save you money, deliver fast, and offer top-notch customer service for more than 1,500 brands. In 2014, they launched the Summit Racing mobile app for easy access to speed parts. Find them on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Also, you can find them on the On All Cylinders podcast for more automotive discussions like what you're listening to now. And from humble origins to the social media lane, Summit Racing stands by your need for speed. Find your next speed parts at summitracing.com. All right. Well, if you want to, let's start the show out because we have so many guests. Let's start the show out with the Molly Motorsports Co-Pilot Spotlight. So if you'll do the ad read, we can get into talking about Krista and John Long.
All right. Attention high performance enthusiasts and sportsman class racers. Meet the Molly Motorsports Power Pack Kit, your ultimate solution for power pack performance. The Power Pack pistons are either made from 4032 aluminum alloy to allow for tighter cylinder to wall clearances and improved temperature stability, or 2618 alloy to allow for increased detonation resistance. Tailored for various engine families from small block Chevy to Volkswagen and Audi, they've got you covered. What sets them apart? It's forged pistons, graphite coating, and phosphate treatment for peak performance and durability. Elevate your ride with Molly Motorsports, where performance meets precision. Unleash the power within. Visit mollymotorsports.com for more details. And for those podcast listeners, Molly is spelled Mahle.
All right. Well, this week's spotlight is going to be Krista and John Long. One of my favorite cars of race week, this little Chevette with a V6, which is abnormal, spraying a little bit of nitrous, running in the 13.0 index. Super cool. So they flipped seats this year. John was her co-pilot and she's been his co-pilot for a while. So of course we have the Molly Motorsport co-pilot spotlight. Well, Krista submitted some stuff. So when we asked, what makes a good co-pilot, she said a good co-pilot never lets you give up. There will they will even be there if you are the last car going down the track that night. A good co-pilot is someone you can count on until the bitter end. That is so true. And I'll tell you a great thing about them, they are a power couple, obviously husband and wife. Husband and wife teams are pretty rare within the drag and drive community, but
Yeah.
the ones that I see that can make it to 2 events, they are the power couples of the of the whole community. It's pretty amazing. There's several of those folks that are out there that make that happen. I know that my wife and I could never do that. I know we couldn't. One, she's not a huge car person, but two, man, I get
Yeah.
pretty snippy when I don't have a lot of sleep, and she gets snippy back. So it's pretty wild. Pretty wild.
Fast Ranger Motorsports here saying Molly Power Pack 2618 pistons hold up to 800 horsepower shot of nitrous.
My man. My man. I knew he would know. Well, when we asked to tell a funny story about your co-pilot, she said, I had been John's co-pilot previously and tried to explain the navigation isn't as simple as it seems. The first time the roles were reversed, he thought navigating the route was going to be a piece of cake. At the gas station before we headed out on our first stretch of race week's route, John grabbed a Big Red and some chocolate donuts. By the time we got from Thunder Valley to Texas Motorplex, the quarter drink Big Red he was looking forward to was hot and shaken up from the ride, and most of his melted chocolate donuts ended up under the Kirky seat in the car, and we had to fish them out at the track. That's awesome.
Yeah.
He's her whole story is full of stuff like that, and you can see just on his face how much fun he is actually having there, eating gas station pizza and surviving. That's basically what you do on a drag and drive is survive.
Yeah. I love these co-pilot spotlights to hear stories like that. That was the whole intention of doing this segment was to get cool stories like that, and this is another killer one. So
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, if you would like to submit your own co-pilot spotlight, I'm going to drop the link in the chat, and then it will also be up on the description after we get done with the episode tonight. I see Dave Curtis says the shirt looks great on you. Thank you very much. I fill out a 2X Probably better than I should. So, and then Wendy Martin, let me tell you, it gets interesting being in a car that many days and hours. Wendy and Lewis Martin are one of the power couples of drag and drive events. They simply, oh man, it's amazing the struggles and the victories they've had over the years. It's awesome. They've been on the show in the past, way back before we called it the Drag Drive Repeat Show. They were on there discussing all of those kind of, I don't know. I hate to say struggles because it's not really a struggle, but with them, they're a power couple for sure. All right. Well,
I just
let's
Oh, real quick, I just had saw something online today that the interview that I did with you on 815 LSX swaps when you announced Drag Drive Repeat just came up at the end of April. So I can't remember if it was 2 years or 3 years ago. I don't remember offhand,
yeah,
but that had just happened. So
yeah.
I thought
That
that was
was
pretty cool to see.
man. That's great. It was early 2022 when I started Drag Drive Repeat. So
Yep.
it's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands of posts and pictures and videos and interviews and all that kind of stuff. All right. Well, we're gonna be out of time if we don't move forward. So if you'll do the read for the Driven Racing Oil Events update, we're gonna change it up a little bit this week. We're gonna actually have guests on to talk about events. So it's not gonna be us running through the next 6 events. It's gonna be kind of hammer time through these. So if you want to do that, we'll bring on some guests.
All right. Why gamble with performance or protection when you get proven results from Driven Racing Oil? Trusted by top engine builders, winning racers, and devoted horsepower enthusiasts around the world. Driven takes legendary base oils such as the ones from Bradford, Pennsylvania, which comprise their GP1 line. Then, Driven boosts that superior base with state of the art additive packages. Driven's GP1 Nitro 70 not only provides anti wear protection, but can even shield cylinders from washout and fuel dilution caused by using methanol or nitro based fuels. Learn more about Driven Racing Oil by following them on Facebook and Instagram at Driven Racing Oil or shop now at drivenracingoil.com.
That's right. Well, Driven Racing Oil has been a huge part of social media the last few weeks, helping sharing a lot of drag racing coverage and a lot of the drag and drive community. It's been awesome to see all the stuff they've done. So we appreciate them very much. And we're going to bring on Zach Slevin, the one of the promoters and hosts of Cruise and Lose here in just a second. How about that? How are you this evening?
Doing great. How are you, fellas?
Oh
Good.
man, dude, I'm excited to have you back on. You were on the show. What's it been? A year and a half ago, 2 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, it's probably been around there.
Yeah. So you guys put on a heck of an event this last weekend, and I want to again give you a huge public shout out here. I know I did that on Facebook making a post, but here in front of everybody, congratulations, dude. You were the only event I think that hosted anywhere from Iowa to Texas. Everybody canceled. You guys rocked it out, man, and it was awesome and sad to watch from home. I'll tell you, I was a little heartbroken. I didn't go ahead and make the trip. I will not make that mistake again. I will be there for 2025 for sure.
It was
So,
a party, man.
oh, dude, I'll tell you. Well, introduce yourself, and then let's get into it, man. Let's talk about kind of the tracks you guys visited, the classes that you had, and all that.
Well, I'm Zach Slevin. I'm top 3 host of Cruise and Lose. And that's about it, I guess. So we've been doing this, I think, 3 years now. And
Yeah.
it gets wilder every time, I swear. This event we kind of made on a napkin at a place called Beer 30, which is kind of cool because it's on one of the routes we've taken back, Highway 30, over pizza with my other co-host, Tyler Maggart and Landon Jensen.
Yeah.
We came up with the idea because, I mean, if you've been under a rock lately, all the tracks are having problems staying open. I mean,
Yeah.
look everywhere. So we wanted to support our local ones that we have, do something fun. And we always thought it'd be kind of nice to have a nice entry level event for people to do before they dive into a week-long event, because if you've never done this, even a small event like this can be pretty hard on a car, and you got to know what you need to change pretty quick.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like I say it all the time, man. I feel like regional events are the gateway drug into drag and drive. Like more people should do regional events because it gives you that chance. Or this is a great way for seasoned veterans that are going to race later in the year to add one to their mix.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but man, right, like for me, it's hard to get time off. It's way
Yeah.
easier to take a day off and do a 3-day or 2-day
Yeah.
event versus a week. It just,
Yeah.
that's how I roll anyways.
Right.
I guess the tracks we visited this time around were I-29 and Kearney Raceway Park again. We did not do Ottawa.
Yep. And you guys had planned to do Ottawa, right? But
Yep.
the rain is what kept you guys out of it, right?
Well, yeah, the rain kind of killed it. It was kind of a funny story. When we left the drivers meeting, we were planning on heading there, and how we got notified was a bunch of our participants started sending us screenshots that the track was closed for the weekend.
Oh no.
So talk about, you just like look at your phone, you go, uh-oh. I
Scramble
think the
mode.
term was rut-row, Raggy.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, certainly. So I-29 and Kearney, I mean, obviously took care of you. Who was the guy that was posting? Which track was it that was like, we're going to be up at 4:30 working on the
That
track?
is Doug Whitworth himself of I-29, and he is one crazy fella. He called me Sunday and said, dude, weather don't look good for Friday. We're doing everything we can to race Saturday. So,
Yes.
And he did. I mean, he was there Friday night sending me videos of him sweeping off the track from the rain so it could dry overnight. And he woke up at 4:30 a.m. to start prepping, all for the low price of Dunkin' Donuts. I mean,
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. And it just shows that tracks want to race as much as anybody else does.
I
It's
firmly
not like
believe,
they're calling it because they're like, people
yeah,
won't care.
I firmly believe that we have some of the best track management in the United States. I mean,
Yep.
these guys are dedicated, and I mean, just the hours they've got to put in for what they do. I mean, I just think a track manager if you can.
Yeah, oh, for
Yeah.
sure. And the same, like, so how do you figure that out? This wasn't in the notes, but how do you figure that out to tell all the guys that are racing, like, hey, what did you do? Did you change routes? Did you go by Ottawa? Did you change to
So
go
so actually what happened is we changed routes and changed how we turned in slips all at the same time. So I
Wow.
actually had to do unthinkable things to a hotel manager because I was printing I asked her, I said, hey, can I print some copies off? And she said,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
sure. I'm like, she's like, how many you need? I'm like, oh, 75 or so. And she's like, oh, okay. Hit print 490 pages at 11 o'clock at night.
Yep. 490 pages got you through what? 1 day of routes?
Yeah, that was 1 day of routes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we it's kind of a funny story. We just took a route that we had used the first year, which had mistakes on it too. So we're just like, guys, we printed this off. Good luck. Like that's what all we could do. So
Yeah. Let's talk about classes, man. What classes did you have?
850 index, 750 index, 650 index, and small tire. Just kind of the way we've always ran it, and it works good. So
Yeah, and it gives a spot for everybody to be in. They
yeah,
can.
I mean, with
they can
8 mile
get in.
tracks, I feel like that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll look something different, but that 750 is kind of a good cutoff with safety requirements. Then 650, and then I feel like if you're faster than 650, turn it up, run small tire.
So then we saw some posts on Facebook about the weather. Tell us a little bit about how crazy that was.
So, anyways, it all started with sign up day. Like it was chance of rain, so we didn't really think anything of it. I mean, it is what it is. Rain is rain. And anyways, sign up day was supposed to be on one of our worst days, and it ended up just being sunny and beautiful, no wind, which is very rare in Nebraska. And anyways, we left the track, and then all of a sudden, we were a little bit running late there, and then we sent the which we'll talk about later, the gravel road debacle. And thanks, Mary. Anyways, then we started getting notifications that basically a tornado crossed the route that we're sending these guys on. And the last I checked, that same tornado had went 50 miles or something, causing destruction. And actually a guy on the event, it took out his workplace. He worked at a place with 100 people, and he took it out. And he sent me a picture. He's like, well, I might be unemployed Monday. We'll find out.
Dang, that's crazy.
That's wild.
So we're dealing with that. We found out about tornadoes, the track closing. Yeah, everyone went on the gravel road, by the way, besides a guy with a $150 wagon. He didn't want to scratch his rust or pit it or anything. But anyways, that's besides the point. But yeah, so the weather was just horrible. But really, we timed it perfectly, not by planning it, by pure luck, that no one really had to drive through anything bad. I mean, some of them had to do a little bit of rain, but no wind or hail or anything like that.
That's awesome.
And basically, with weather, we I-29, they did the rain or whatever there, and they got it clean, and they gave us a window from 8 a.m. and I kicked everybody out at 2 because the weather was going to roll back in by 3 or 4, and everyone pretty much left and didn't really have to get rained on if they left early. And then Kearney wasn't supposed to be good. I mean, I've helped Joe prep tracks. I used to be a volunteer there. And I'm driving there around, driving. I'm like, I'm driving through torrential downpour right now. This feels wrong. We're going racing. What are we doing here? And I mean, Joe was squeeching off standing water at 10 a.m. And we were racing by 12 p.m. with no sun. We had no sun out pretty much until we stopped racing.
Dang.
Ouch. That makes for a hard track to read for some of these fast cars.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it wasn't ideal conditions, but man, these guys, they just worked and gave us the best they could.
Well, and the thing about drag and drive is everybody has the same track. Like there's no way around that. Everybody has the same track. Well, let's talk about some of the racer stuff because people love breakdowns. People love success stories. So who some of your favorite racers, some of your favorite stories from the weekend? What are some of those?
Well, let me pull up this old paper. I had too many.
Yes.
So, let's see.
First of all, how many cars did you have, I guess?
We left with 68 or 68
Nice.
showed
awesome.
up. We had 80 signed. We were sold out. We were sold
Yep.
out and had a waiting list, and we ran through the waiting list because the weather didn't look the best. But yeah.
That's
So,
awesome. Is that your biggest event yet with that? Or
I'd have to look. I'm pretty sure it is, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I think from last year when you were here, I think that was.
I think we're in the high
You're done
50s.
last
I
year.
want to say 59 last year or so.
I think so. That's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. So one of our racers named Chad Bartling, he's actually our local track announcer. He had a nitrous backfire in the burnout box, or it might have been staging. I can't remember. And there's actually a video we have of on our drone. But nitrous backfire started the whole underside of his car on fire.
Oh,
and
wow.
anyways, we backed it out of the staging lanes and popped the hood, and I'm like, well, nothing's really burnt to a crisp. I mean, it's definitely been heated up, but I think you're all right. And the track manager comes by, looks at him, he said, you have just had a nitrous backfire, dude. Fire that up, drive it back. So we unplugged the math, and he drove it. He made 2 passes there and drove back. I mean,
that's awesome.
Nice.
let me see. I got some other ones here. A guy named Jason Dewitt, he had a stick shift S550, and he had changed more axles than I changed underwear that weekend. Pretty sure he sold every parts store in the Tri-Cities out of axles.
I was going to put that picture in here, but I didn't feel like maybe it was that nice. But I do have some folks or some shots.
That
so
is the car right there.
Yeah, while you're talking, I'll flip through some of these. I've only got 4 or 5 of them, but.
And then there's I don't know the last name, but a guy named Max. He has an FD RX-7. And he ended up having apex seals go bad. And he was the last person at the track. We were packing up, and the rain was coming in with possible hail. So we ended up basically throwing everything to the front of our event trailer and packing this FD RX-7 in our event trailer and trailered him home. But he thought we were doing it as a favor. But one of our event promoters, Tyler Maggart, just tried lowballing him the whole time on the FD RX-7 the whole way to his house.
Trying to own it.
He will. This is how, basically every 30 seconds. I will own this car. I will own this car. I will own this car. So
That's not the dude's just in the back seat having to just take it. Oh,
yeah,
he's
I
like,
mean,
it's not for sale.
yeah. The guy named Nick Lawson, the guy that won our small tire, anyways, he sent us a video because he was one of the guys that stayed late and had to go through rain. He sent us a video mopping out water in the floor of his car that was like an inch or two deep. I mean, just
Holy
putting
cow.
shirts in his car, rigging them out, and packing them. I thought that was pretty funny. And
Tyler,
Everything is for sale.
yeah. Guy named Aaron Tavener, he has a turbo square body Chevy. And he actually stole one of our tech guys because he's too young to read maps himself. And anyways, we're at I-29 and he ran a like basically perfect pass. First pass was a 751. Next
Wow.
pass was an 850. I don't know if it spun or something. He got out of his truck pretty aggressively for some reason and shattered his window, so he couldn't race anymore when he slammed the door. So he had to go home and repair that. So I don't know.
That's awesome.
Our 750 winner. So we did this thing called wild card when we got rid of our third track. So you had to turn in 3 slips, and it does not matter which track you turned in 2 from. And if you bested your previous night, you could turn in, you could take your wild card out and swap it for another pass if you had 2 better or something.
Okay.
It was just something we came up on the fly with. But anyways,
I like it.
our 750 winner only got 1 slip, so I gave him a 10-0 for his wild card, and we ended up graying out all the slips people turned in to keep it interesting. They just got to see the averages. Well, this guy was dead last because no one knew he had a fire pass the first pass. So, anyways, the next day he had 2 fire passes, won the class. So it was kind of funny.
Awesome.
I mean, went from dead bottom of the board to up top, which if you're in drag and drive stuff, that doesn't happen.
No,
Yeah.
no, not at all.
I was just going to pull up Tyler's comment. He's saying Kyle Calkins tried running I-29 out of paper in the time slip box. Did he make a ton of passes?
Yeah, that Kyle Calkins is ultra competitive. He will make passes during an index race until he has a 7.500, and he did it. He did that to get 2 slips that said that. So
Really?
I mean, he was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I mean, yeah.
Do you know how many
he
passes
may have
he
made
made?
15 passes or something. I mean,
Wow.
Let's go ahead and let's jump into the class winners stuff then.
all right. Well, we'll go start from small tire. It's Nick Lawson out of Kansas. He's won last year also. And he runs a Camaro he bought when he was 14. And it's got a 416 LS with twin Force Performance 7875s, the TH400 E85, and a Holley ECU. So
That's awesome.
I mean, he's a pretty good guy. Me and him talk a little bit because we both have kind of similar combos with the turbos and stuff like that. Pretty cool guy. He's a lineman. I don't know, just good old guy.
Right.
Looks like he had a 5.4069 average.
Yep. Actually, last year he was faster, but he turned in 2 slips like that and won it anyway. So no reason to turn it up.
Yeah.
There's only one other guy kind of close to him, and that was Mark Grote with the Turbo Green Gremlin. So
Gotcha. Looks like he had a 5.6562 average.
Yep. He was gonna try to turn it up, but he had developed an oil leak he couldn't resolve, so he just said, "I'm good."
Gotcha.
It's like, I'll take second.
650 is Kyle Calkins. I'll try to keep this PG. We have some pretty good jokes for him. So, but he races a 78 Fairmont wagon, has a 200,000 mile 4.8 or 4-point grade in it, 83 millimeter turbo, which is new this year, TH400 9-inch. And it's kind of different being on pump 91 and meth injection. That's pretty cool for something running 650, in my opinion.
Yeah. Looks like he finished with a 6.5079 average with a best pass of 6.5019.
Yeah, like I said, he don't mess around. His guy in second is Bill Bass, and those guys are both local guys, and they go back and forth racing each other. They're always at the end of index races racing each other. So pretty cool that they both entered.
Yeah.
750. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Braden Porcorny. He has a 1974 Camaro he built with his grandpa. It's been rotisserie restored. He bought it in high school.
Wow.
It's got an NA 427 LS, a 4L80, a 10 bolt. And what's cool about it is it's got full interior, vintage air, and AC and cruise. I mean,
Wow.
That's
it's
cool.
full on street car, and it's running low 750s NA. I mean, I
Yeah.
wouldn't touch it.
That's pretty impressive. I'll put that out there.
I
for
mean,
sure.
it's full
Awesome.
weight car too. I mean, it's pretty cool. I like it.
Yep.
Yep.
It looks like he finished with a 7.5165 average with a best pass of 7.500.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually announcing. I kind of announce once in a while at our events, and I was up there when he did that, and I'm like, oh, he won.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the second place, Aaron Tavner or however. I
Yeah.
mean, he wasn't far behind, like a
And-
752 average, 7.523.
Yeah, which the wild card got him too, because the at I-29 he had to turn in an 853 when he broke his window. So he was also on the bottom of the list. So it kind of got some people, but we kind of like it. So
Yeah. And then looks like you had. I wanted to give a shout out to some other racers in that class. Who Steve Smith and Seth Little had a 7.505 pass.
yeah,
During
Steve
that
Smith, that's
training.
pretty cool. It's a full weight Chevelle, big block Chevy built by one of our sponsors, Wishman Performance, and I think a 4L80 built by Corey Petska, which is a sponsor also. And Seth Littrell, I could be wrong, but I believe it's still a stick shift. But there's so many F bodies. Last year was an F body meet pretty much, but
Right.
Oh, sweet.
he's actually, Seth is starting a little racing series with cruises called Lenoma Street Series, I believe. So it's pretty cool. The local events. And then for 850, we had a 2000 Camaro for Ray Zadro, and it's a Cam Dellis 1 TH400 and Holloway. Pretty simple, generic setup.
Yeah.
And an 851 average. That's pretty salty.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty impressed how hard it was actually to win one of those classes. It wasn't like the winner had an 855 or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because like that 851.34 average for Ray with an 8.505 best ET, and then second place, Rudolph
Zinser, I think, is the name.
I mean, so Ray had an 8.5134, and Rudolph had an 8.5181. I mean, dude, that's tight. That's tight.
I mean, I think that comes back. We just got lucky with both tracks. We got to run for. I think I-29 we ran for nearly 5 hours.
Wow.
5-6 hours, and Kearney we ended up 3.5 hours ish. We ran
awesome.
cars, which was good enough. I mean, got to send people home at an early time and stuff like that, because we had some far drivers, some guys from southern Kansas, Sioux Falls, and there was another one that I can't remember where. I think he came from Minneapolis area or Minnesota area, somewhere around there. But
how cool. Yeah, you guys had a great mix of cars. It was like late model stuff like the Mustang, and then obviously Kyle Calkins' car. I'm a huge fan of that car. I mean, if you don't like a Fairmont wagon, there's something wrong with you.
There's so many cool stuff, like have a 1300 horsepower GTR to a J Series supercharged Del Sol. I love that car. It's just he's just begging off the rev limiter, front wheel drive spinning the whole eighth, and it just makes you happy every time you hear him, because you just know what's going down.
That's awesome. Well, I know it's probably early in this, but is there going to be a Cruise and Loose 2025? And
there's going to be the 2025 for sure. We're already talking about dates and what we're going to do. We're trying to see if there's like any volcanic activity in Nebraska to drive people by that, because we've already had every other weather under the sun. I don't know if we can get a tsunami or something.
How many miles did you drive, I guess, is a great question.
Oh, man. I don't know. 450, 500 miles, somewhere around there.
That's crazy, dude.
Because I know the route back was 219, and I want to say it was 234 there. We ended up stopping at the Museum of Speed, which is right by Speedway Motors in Lincoln. And they ended up giving everybody free access to that museum, which is 3 floors tall. It's pretty sweet.
Wow.
And that was
cool.
That was a great way to 520 miles. Thanks, Marshall. The event promoter don't even know how far I made you drive. But anyways, it was a great way to basically kill a night, with track closings and stuff.
All right, dude. Well, again, we don't need to wait a year to have you on. We need to hear updates on the DSM. We need to hear updates on all the stuff you got going, all the cars you got going on, and then kind of as you guys wrap into dates and things like that for 2025, come back on, man. Keep us updated, and we'll keep everybody out there updated as well.
Yeah, I'm happy to come on as long as you want to listen to me.
But dude,
we need to find out. We need to find out if Tyler gets the RX-7.
Yeah, that if Tyler gets an RX-7 and I go a 4 this summer, we'll come back on.
Yeah,
there we go.
Hey, just if either one of those happens, come back on. Okay. We'll talk about it. All right, dude. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you.
All right, thanks for having me, fellas.
Yep, thanks.
See you. Let's bring on Mr. Cliff Parvin. I'm excited about this. He is our announcer for the circuit. He was here last year, came back this year with a vengeance. It was so much fun. And I'll tell you, before I get on and make him embarrassed a little bit, but him being there elevated the event 5 steps. I'm telling you, it was amazing to have him on site. And I say it's one thing I didn't have to worry about, but y'all, this dude had it figured out. He knew where to go, when to be there, what to talk about. I didn't have to worry about anything. And if I came across cool stuff, I could text him, and it was 2 or 3 minutes, and I'd hear it over the announcement. It was really cool having him there. So we're going to bring him on, and we'll talk about his experience at the circuit. Mr. Cliff Parvin, the Tulsa Madman, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm amazing, guys. Thanks for having me on tonight. You broke my podcast cherry. This is my first deal ever, so thanks, guys. I appreciate
No way, dude.
Yeah.
As all the stuff you've done over the years, I can't believe it's the first podcast you've been on.
Yeah, no, so it's a great pleasure and a great honor to be on you guys' podcast first. Y'all put on a great event, one of my special types of events. I love street cars and streetcar accessories, and obviously Drag and Drive plays into that well. And your event is about the right length. I mean, it's not enough to just completely beat you to death, but it's good enough to get your feet wet and understand what it's all about. So thanks for putting on that great event, and thanks for having me for the second year in a row back for your show. And you say you made it easy for me. You got the list of things together that I needed. Your prep work on the front side made it easier to do my job, and I appreciate that, man.
That's great to hear. And it will only get better as time goes on. It will only get better, I promise.
Oh, as it did already. You know, the first year I was kind of a stranger in a strange land. I mean, I knew some of the people and some of the stuff, but the second year it jumped in, and it was an amazing event and some really cool cars and cool people. Some of my favorite people on the planet. Jonathan Stonecipher, you know, obviously, you know, a big player in this deal. So it was a great year or a great event this year, and I definitely look forward to next year already.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. You know you're signed up for next year on my side for sure.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I really do.
That's awesome. Well, let's talk about who you are and what you do, and then let's get into kind of the circuit and some other stuff. So introduce yourself, tell everybody what's going on.
Well, I'm the Tulsa Madman, Cliff Parvin. If you're playing along on Facebook, Bill Caps now, thanks to Meta. Long story on that deal, but I grew up pushing a Volkswagen, driving a mini truck, wanting a Mustang in the salvage yard, you know, and I'm a car guy through and through. There really wasn't another path for me to do anything but, you know, hang out around racetracks and do race car stuff with my race car friends. I started at Tulsa Raceway. I started at Tulsa Raceway Park. If anybody remembers Denise there, one night I didn't want to work at a racetrack, but the Throwdown in T-Town was coming up, and she was like, Cliffy, I need a spotter. So I started as a spotter at Tulsa Raceway Park, just kind of volunteering, worked my way into tech, water box, then the starting, and our Midnight Drag announcer, Chris Wooten, rest in peace, sir, decided he was too old for the job. And so he stepped down, and it sat open for a few weeks, a month maybe. And everybody there was like, hey, you know, you're kind of smart aleck, and you like cars, and you know people, and this is kind of your deal. Well, I stepped up to the plate, and the rest was kind of history on the announcing deal. Yeah. And I asked Chris, I said, after I'd been doing it a few weeks, I said, how old are you, Chris? And he was actually a month older than me. That was it. You know, so he was too old for the job, and I was just right for the job. And I had a blast doing that. I did it for several years, promoted that show. it grew from just announcing to promoting to cutting radio ads, and I felt like I built the program up pretty nicely, and eventually stepped away to start traveling with Import Face Off, which was another great event that travels the country. I think they do 37 or 38 shows a year, and Cliff hired me on to come along for that ride, and I flew all over the country and got to see some really cool stuff with him for a while. And when COVID hit, I decided that I didn't really want to fly anymore, and I had already been working with the guys over at Streetcar Takeover, a great group of guys, Chase and Justin and everybody involved, and kind of went that direction and been doing that. I also announce FL2K. I do the circuit. I do a lot of little odds. That's with Adam Dory last year. That was a great show, and I got to know him a little bit better. Funny story, I've followed Drag and Drive forever, obviously, and one year his deal was coming through, and I was like, man, yeah, I'll get up in the tower and I'll help you out. And I am one of the most unprofessional professionals out there. Like I say the quiet part out loud. I really don't keep stats. I'm horrible with names. I show up and I like to party, and then I blow out like a warm summer breeze. Well, I walked in Adam's tower and he's up there on his spreadsheet and he's doing all these times and entering things in and announcing. And I was instantly mind blown. And I was like, well, you have this, sir. You've got this locked down. I'll just go watch some drag racing. I travel the country and try to announce drag racing, and I have a good time at it. I do it with my wife, Nikki Baker. We do it in the Spark Force One. Like I said, we quit flying during COVID. That enabled her to jump in the passenger seat, come along for the ride. She loves this stuff just as much as I do. I met her at a drag strip. She thought she would get a job out there and get to see some drag racing. Well, they put her in the concession stand, and well, anybody that's ever worked in the concession stand, you can't see anything, you can't hear anything, you can't be a part of anything. But now she gets to travel the country and hang out, and she is my right hand, just like Melissa is yours. You know, the unsung heroes that take all the notes and do all the things and keep the wheels greased up and moving along. So I'm grateful for her, and I'm even more grateful that she's got to come along for the ride since 2020 and sit in that passenger seat and enjoy all the places and things we've done.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, let's talk about second year to announce. I want to hear like favorite cars. I want to hear some favorite racer stories, all that kind of stuff.
Boy, the Prospector, Bob's little Chrysler deal, that thing is about as cool as the other side of the pillow, man. It's got all the lace work. I also do custom paint work. I forgot to mention that, but I do a lot of the airbrush headlights and stuff. And when I walked on the scene and saw that thing with the tinted plexiglass and the lace and all the lettering and the gold leaf, and it was right in my wheelhouse, and it pops monster wheelies. One is class. That was probably hands down my favorite ride. It really checked all the boxes. The little 57 wagon that was just kind of grungy, that had the blower and the stick shift and the small block. That thing was sick. I mean, that's, the little handyman getting things done, on a drag and drive and family unit. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and what's really cool about that rig is they tow their front engine dragster with that car to the track. Like, they're the coolest couple I know, man.
That's why I was in the tower with Carl at Mocan. I was like, yeah, that thing's like straight out of like 1969. He's like, more than you know, man, more than you know. So he told some of those stories, and that just made it even cooler for me. I've always kind of liked the gasser stuff and the front engine dragsters, and to me, it was a time when people really didn't know how to go fast. There wasn't a recipe. There wasn't it was trial and error, make your own parts, do your own thing. And that's why I like that type of stuff. It's also why I like the Honda cars and Import Face Off, is those kids were given a car that there was no conventional wisdom on how to make them fast, and they figured out how to make them fast, and they made their own parts, and they done it. To me, it was kind of a rebirth of hot rodding. Yeah, Pat, your Busa is pretty cool, but I'm a Grom guy. I've still got one. But yeah, talk about Iron Man, seeing him chime in there. Let's see,
2,300 miles in a weekend on a Busa,
no trailer, all the way. I didn't think you could get that far away from Oklahoma or from Kansas in Texas. Like when he was the longest traveled rider or person in the event, and we had people from Colorado and all over everywhere, I was like, let's do the math on that again. But sure enough, on a Hayabusa with no trailer and just Iron Manning it out, that's pretty rad.
That's
Stone
for sure.
Cypher's car. Obviously, I've been around that car since it was Todd Kitchens. It was cool seeing Todd there with his family, his daughter and new husband, both of them racing, and Todd going along for the ride. But that Nova of Stone Cyphers is it's kind of an icon where I'm from. You know, I've watched that car go from nitrous to Pro Charger to turbo back to nitrous, and then Stone Cypher got it, and he's had everything under the hood, from all motor stuff to whatever you can imagine. So that car always been a favorite. Man, there's just a ton. I love them all. That's the problem. Is like it's hard for me to pick a favorite because it's like playing cars. You just throw out the box of Hot Wheels, and obviously you wanted them all for a reason at one point or the other.
So Ozark was a new track for you. What'd you think about Ozark?
I loved it, man. That place has so much history with Street Machine Nationals, and oddly enough, that track was the only track. I went to Salisaw Outlaw, and that track, and those are the only two tracks that I've actually paid at the front gate and went in to watch a drag race at. And I did that a few years ago because I was invited by Sean Melton, Urban Hillbilly, and we went up there and hung out and watched a pretty good little small tire race with him. But this time I got to go back and unlock that bucket list, got to get in the tower and call some action, and that's always fun. It's the little things like that make all this stuff, worthwhile to me. Like, it's not always the biggest, baddest corporate track. I've been in, Z-Max, I've been in Vegas, a lot of times I like those little tracks with the feeling and the vibe, whatever you want to call it. That makes it worthwhile, and that place definitely has it. I hope that I can work with them in the future on some of their cool events and stuff that they put on. That'd be pretty cool. And like I said, Salisaw, that place had a whole vibe. And I missed that track. It's coming back, so keep your eyes open for that if you don't already know. And places like that, I describe them as where a kid can be a kid, and that's what I like. The people in the pits, they ain't afraid to talk to you. They're not afraid to move around and make friends, and share a part, or maybe get into a fist fight. You never really know. But I like those kinds of places, and I look forward to going back, man. I hope that I have a lot more opportunities up there, and maybe your event opened that door.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. It'd be well deserved for sure.
Yeah, the good group of people up there for sure. They kept cars. Well, every track we went to, they kept cars in the water box. I mean, it was humping and bumping, man. They knew what we had to do. We had cars make 27 runs, 23 runs, and they moved them through, and they got it done. Love to see a well-oiled track like that, just hustling and getting things done.
Yeah, one thing that Brad did say, and I think and Kevin both at Ozark, it was Kevin, sorry, at the end of the day, when we were settling up and stuff, he was like, this event just ran so smooth.
Yeah.
He's like, everybody knew kind of where they needed to be. They listened to Cliff. It was just so smooth. It was great. And I can't give a shout out enough to everybody that was at the event that listened to all of your announcements and talking about that stuff and just made it. It was wow. It was pretty cool.
No, y'all have a great group of racers. That core group that you have, what did we end up having? 180, I think, this year? Was
161. Yep.
161 by the end of the day. That core group of racers and that amount of people really make it special. You can grow it to 200, 300, 800, but really, at what point does the juice not worth the squeeze? Like, everything was just smooth. Everything was fun. Everything was, just the right amount of smack talk. I got to see that sexy beast Jungle Fro. Like, I mean, just there was just so much that went on that, it makes that event, and if you wasn't there, you're watching this, you're definitely wondering what we're talking about. And I can assure you, it was a good time. Like,
well, and again, big shout out to Laramie here and Fro for doing that. Dude raised almost $1,000
Yeah, dude,
insane
he
for
killed it.
dressing up like Jungle Pam. I mean, like that's what I don't think people understand that are out in the world that didn't attend the circuit. Like when they see those pictures, they're like, "What the heck kind of goofy shit is that?" But man,
Right?
I'm telling you, that dude to put that on, big heart to do that with, and then we just walked around and I mean, I made people dig in their wallets. I was like, "I'm not leaving your car until you get that wallet out. Let's
The
raise some
show
money
was
for the
worth it.
kids." Yeah,
Yeah,
it
and
was
I
a
mean,
ton of fun.
I got to watch a grown man rub suntan lotion on another grown man with a wig. Yeah, you know,
No.
that was worth its weight in gold right there, boys and girls.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
only raised $1,000,
yeah. That should have been 1,000 right
and
there.
no doubt.
That's awesome.
So did you get to end up hitting any of the route stops
I
throughout the
hit,
week?
yeah, I hit most of them. Again, a lot of times I'm just kind of off to the side. I realize people are there trying to get their pictures taken and do what they have to do to make this thing happen. I have a nice camera. I should have packed it. Like I went out and spent a bunch of money on a camera several years ago, and I took some great pictures with it. But I get caught up in the moment. Like I'm not a great capture of memories. Like to me, they just all go in my mind, and I have a good time. So yeah, we got to hit most of it, and driving down old 66. That's been my jam since I was a little kid. Dad always wanted to own property on 66. Like to me, that's the United States, our mother road, our main street.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
um, that made a lot of it worthwhile. Going to Branson and riding the go-karts and having 80 pizzas that were devoured in about 80 seconds,
yeah.
that was great. That brought back childhood memories. We used to go there every year for our summer vacation, and so the memories and all the stuff that went on, uh, it 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 definitely checked all the boxes, man. It was
Yep.
my wheelhouse. Y'all put together a great event. Some of the places we stayed, there's Nikki right there. She's, like I said, my right
Yep.
hand man. I had a great event, man, and
Thank you.
yeah, it does all the things, and I want to encourage more people to get involved. But I don't want it to get so big that it loses that feel, and if it does, we need to
Well,
strive to make it have that feel with more people. And there's a lot of
yeah.
other great people that hold dragon drives that still do that. But
Yep.
when it starts getting that corporate feel and that funky, you can find an edge on it and you can't really taste the passion anymore.
Yeah.
It's time to
Well,
relook. And your deal was perfect.
well, I appreciate that for sure. We spent a lot of time. I mean, Eric and I talked about it daily for 9 months solid.
Oh, just 9
I
months.
yeah, I will say that yeah, before that it was just me talking to myself for
Yeah,
3
that's
months
always fun, isn't it?
before I wore Eric out about it. I will say that, and this isn't, I haven't made this big public yet, but we will be keeping it around 150 cars for 2025 for sure. Just because I feel like that's a number that everybody has an opportunity with 2 passes per day.
Yep.
It would have been pretty tough to get 200 cars into the 4-hour window that we had on Sunday. And I kind of want to keep that kind of time frame. So, 150 cars for 2025 for sure. We'll look at 2026 as we get close to 2025. So,
And the road weaker type people,
Yep.
that just want to come along and get
Yep.
a feel for it. And if at the end of the day,
Yep.
possibly there is time for them to get a run, maybe because there is that lull, like at Ozark, where we had 7
Yeah.
cars going ahead and finishing out their passes, and
Yeah.
maybe involve some road weakers or that
we
that
are
type
we
of
are
stuff. But
certainly adding. We're definitely adding a road week kind of deal. The biggest thing we didn't add it with this year is probably too much knowledge, but the reason we didn't add it this year is because I couldn't figure out in time, by the time I'd made the decision to add that I want to have parking. I want to have all the specialty stuff that goes along with that, meals, special shirts, all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't have had time to get that put together before the 2024 event. So we will definitely have that worked out for 2025. I'm already excited about that. That's because
Yeah.
that's kind of like, that's my jam, is taking care of those folks.
Yeah, and thanks for not jumping off into something that you knew you couldn't make happen. A lot of promoters do that, like, oh no, we can make it happen in the last minute. And you stand on your own feet when you start doing that stuff, and you start hearing things like "never again" and "I won't do this," and you know,
Yeah.
that's a good call. And make it fun for everybody. Make it an event like this is what we do. The media coverage at your event was second to none. Of course, Chris Story,
Thank
my
you.
boy, holding it down, like, and
Yeah.
he sees things and captures images that,
Yeah.
they're just like you're there. Eric, you did a great
Yeah.
job. Everybody there did an amazing job, and it's cool to see everybody's take on it, because everybody's take is just
Yeah.
a little bit different. They might be standing on the same side of the track, the same wall, but what they see and what
Yeah.
they capture, is all individuals. And without media, what we do, people wouldn't see this. We live in a great time now where they can take their pictures and put them on their page, then they get shared to their media page, then they get shared to
Yeah.
your page, and that that's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah.
You can't pay enough for that, and a lot of these guys are volunteering. They're trying to share
Yeah.
picture packages, sell picture packages. So if you've got a great shot that one of these guys or gals took this weekend or a couple weekends ago, reach out to them, buy a picture.
Where can people find you? Where can they follow you? Where can they see you? All the stuff you're doing, dude.
Really, basically, I'm Tulsa Madman on YouTube, Bill Caps on Facebook. Haven't started another Instagram. Thanks, Meta. Love you, mean it. Yeah, I just move around, and you can catch me at a race near you. Like
Yeah.
when you hear somebody that's a smart ass and talking a little trash and a little brash and having a good time, that's probably me. I like to party. So yeah,
That's
just
awesome.
out in the wild mainly.
Cool. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I appreciate it. And hey, like I tell most everybody, but certainly you this time, this will not be the last time you're on this live stream with us, man. I want to definitely have some serious more conversations. The biggest thing with a guy like you and your resource is that you can help us be better. Eric has an opportunity to do some announcing at Buyer and Dragway. With my position at Tulsa, I could probably get on the mic sometimes if I wanted to, things like that. So it only helps, and us knowing a guy like you with your experience, dude.
And I appreciate you guys for having me on and having me along with the circuit again. And I look forward to it. And yeah, text, call anytime you want, man.
Yeah, dude. All right, man. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Yep. See ya.
All right. Well, dude, I really appreciate Cliff coming on and talking about all that stuff. I see Chris White here. Yeah. Made it
Yeah, I
home
didn't
from
know
the
if you saw
circuit
that.
5 days later. Drove half a mile, chucked a piston and ride. Dude, that's insane.
Yeah.
That is insane. So some roadside repairs or something. I got to get that story from him. Chris, message me that story, dude. Let's talk. Message me your number. I'll call you. Tomorrow we'll talk about all that kind of stuff. All right, guys. I want to say thank you so much to our race car friends. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Guys, hit the share button one more time for us, real quick. It's a big deal. It's a big night for us. We've never had 4 guests on, and you can tell we're going to go over already. So thank you for being our race car friends. Thank you for making this possible. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Summit Racing, Driven Racing Oil, Molly Motorsports, Car Change 3D, Howard's Cams, Performa Built Transmissions, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk Classifieds. Dude, did you see Racing Junk Classifieds has the new Drag and Drive segment for your when you're putting up a listing or searching for a listing? That's a huge win for the Drag and Drive community. And of course, our newest media partner, PowerTube TV. Those guys are amazing. If you guys don't know, it's a great spot for us to watch, for you to watch this and other exclusive content put out by us and many, many other automotive, I don't know, automotive entertainers. I would say entertainers. That's probably a great way to do it. And guys, the gentleman's agreement is that, listen, we love what we do. We truly do. I do this day and night, every day. Eric does this every day, every night, listens to my messages, all that kind of stuff. But we can't do it without you. Like, this isn't free. This is expensive. It takes a ton of time to do it. So, as a kind of gentleman's agreement, trade back and forth, I will say, we'll keep doing this side of stuff. But you guys, come on now, hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button, wherever you're watching this. Do that for us. Help us grow. And if you're on the podcast, man, leave a review. Come on, we got to get some of them. Help us grow over there and introduce the world to more drag and drive people.
So we are excited to partner with PowerTube TV, the ultimate streaming destination for automotive enthusiasts. Created by enthusiasts for enthusiasts, PowerTube TV is revolutionizing the way you experience automotive programming. You'll find replays of this show that you're watching alongside exclusive content from us and other automotive content creators. PowerTube TV is a place to watch classic shows like Pink's All Out, and Pastime make their triumphant return alongside reboots and original content. PowerTube TV is more than just a streaming platform, it's a community, a launchpad for emerging builders and racers through their content creator development program. Join forces with talented partners and showcase your skills to the world. Join us on PowerTube TV and experience the thrill of automotive entertainment like never before. Speed, power, and community await you. Find out more at watchpowertubetv.com.